to our Sunday service. And of course, we always begin at 10 a.m. with our meditation, our stillness meditation. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead and get ready to participate, finding a comfortable place to sit down, and if it's comfortable for you, to allow your feet to be firmly on the ground, maybe your hands on your knees and your lap. That's just symbolic of allowing all the channels and meridians to be open if you prefer to sit lotus or Indian style. If you prefer to hold a mudra such as heart mudra or meditation mudra, feel free to go ahead. The most important thing is that we allow ourselves to know that meditation is always a time of communion with spirit, no matter what type of meditation we're doing. And so as you're getting comfortable, remembering a few of the basics, that in meditation, each meditation, whether it is a movement meditation or a mantra meditation or a visioning meditation of inquiry or a stillness meditation like we're doing this morning, each one of them has an intention built in. Our intention is to rejuvenate and to relax, to expand into the stillness and stretch the muscle of wordlessness and thoughtlessness so that we open to the divine mind. That's our intention, and then there's your intention of what you're bringing to it. So if you would like providential guidance in an area of your life or something of that nature, the other intention we bring to this is full surrender into relaxation, full surrender into divine awareness. So getting comfortable, making sure any devices or disturbances that are around you are minimized. Of course, leaving this device open, but maybe silencing any sounds that it might make. And with that being said, unless for some reason you're doing this as an open-eyed meditation, which you're more than welcome to, we always recommend with open-eyed that you find one singular point to focus on. If your eyes wander, your mind will wander. Otherwise, I'm going to invite you to close the outer eyes as we prepare to begin. As always, we begin by first giving ourselves permission to relax. Just saying to ourselves and our minds, I give myself permission to relax. As we invite, as we evoke, and as we allow the divine energies of peace, love, wellness, and goodness to wash over us and to rise up from within us. Taking a moment to allow ourselves to let go, transmute, relinquish any tension or stress, any sadness or concerns. We don't need to know how or why. We bring our consciousness, our beingness, and our willingness before the altar of God. And we relinquish these energies. Some find it useful to use the exhalation as the vehicle of release, and the inhalation as the vehicle of embrace. And so I invite you, without changing anything, but just becoming aware of your breathing and your breath, to imagine your crown is wide open on the top of your head. you inhale, you bring in the light and the life and the beauty of God. And as you exhale, you let go of any stress, concerns, sadness, worry. Allowing those energies to transmute and evaporate on the exhalation as we inhale more light, more love, more grace, and more beauty. Taking a moment to deliberately relinquish and let go of to-dos and what was. To relinquish figuring and analyzing. Taking a moment to relinquish efforting and trying. And also taking a moment to let go of attachments to the past. Letting go of projections to the future. Letting go of the present. And opening our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls even more to the eternal. To the light, the grace, the beauty, the truth, the intelligence, the grace and the love that surpasses human understanding. And so I invite you to imagine now that your breath, as you inhale, you can feel it coming in through your crown, traveling and tingling down along the spine to your hips. And as you exhale, you can feel it rise up and release from your crown. The breath is now cycling and circulating only light, fanning the flame of peace and divine strength. And you can feel the entire physical body melting, melding, surrendering into rejuvenation and relaxation. From the tips of our toes to the top of our crown, the entire body flowing, glowing, and illuminating with peace. A contagion of relaxation, nourishing all the muscles, bones, joints, organs, and tissues as we return to the beginning. Just allowing that energy, your breathing and your breath, to expand the light as luminosity and weightlessness throughout the physical body. And begin to feel it rippling and rolling out into the emotional body. Allowing your emotional body to be purified and fortified as it returns to a dynamic state of divine strength, a dynamic state of compassion, love and understanding. And you can feel that energy as it fortifies and expands the emotional body, rippling and rolling into the mental body. And we allow all thoughts and all words to evaporate. Feeling waves of clarity. As the surface mind merges with the higher mind. And we awaken to revelation, inspiration, and providence. And that energy begins to ripple and roll out into the bliss body, into the infinite brilliance, the heart, the life, and the love of God. And it is here that we allow ourselves to relax, to rejuvenate, and to rest in the stillness. our breath. Inhaling, feeling that divine holy breath come in through our crown, tingling and traveling down along your spine into your hips. Exhaling, feeling it rise up the front of your body and release, allowing your breath to continue to go deeper and wider and fresher, even as we return into a lucid state of divine awareness. We take a moment and we know that every time we flex the muscle of meditation, of prayer, we are increasing our capacities to hold more good, more love, more peace, more joy. So we deliberately choose in this moment to expand, to increase, to fortify and amplify the energy of good in our beingness. We become aware that there is a force that is always seeking of that which we call chi or prana. It not only breathes our breath, but it is always seeking to expand and fortify us. And so we say yes in this moment to increasing our bandwidth, to increasing our capacities, to hold more joy and more love. And so I invite you to bring your awareness to your heart center, in the middle of your chest. And feel your heart blossom and open. Join me as we become divinely receptive and expanding our capacities to hold more self-love, more beauty, more joy, more peace in our hearts than ever before. Allow your heart to expand, your heart chakra to increase, to stretch. We take a moment as we allow our hearts to fill to overflowing, and then we let go. We let go, allowing that energy to continue as we bring our awareness down to our hips, to our sacral center and our root, and we expand our capacities to hold more vitality, more radiant wellness, more life force and energy, more prosperity and success than ever before. Stretching and expanding, for it is in the embodiment of these energies, the evocation, the allowing, the embodiment, that we return to the beginning. So we allow those energies to fill and thrill, stretch and expand in our hips, in our sacral center. And I invite you to bring your awareness to your third eye and to your crown at the top of your head. Stretching, opening, and increasing our capacities to hold more optimism, more clarity, more faith, more providence than ever before. The entire journey to wholeness is the increase and expansion of good in every area of our beingness. We open and expand, awaken our divine sensorium, that we may see with God's eyes and hear with God's ears, and we may know with the divine mind. And as we come back into a lucid state of divine awareness with the intention to increase and expand our good, without needing to know how or why, we know the law of evocation of creation seeks to always fulfill itself. The knows exactly where to go and what to do as we evoke it, as we invite it, as we allow it. And of course, we must be divinely receptive to our rejuvenation. So I invite you to bring your awareness down to the lower bottom, outer edge of your auric field, to your earth star, your 10th chakra. If you were to see yourself standing, you would notice it, feel it, sense it about a meter, maybe 4 or 5 feet beneath you, maybe a little bit more. And as you become aware of your earth star, where we, each and every one of us, ground heaven on earth, wellness on earth, love on earth, peace on earth, through our beingness, where it is so intimate and it becomes so real because we feel it and we know it and we remember it. And as you become aware of your Earth Star, I invite you to join me as we ground all of the aforementioned energies: wellness, prosperity, joy, love, self-love, beauty, grace, success, grounding clarity and optimism and faith to your Earth Star. Feel the energy cascading down, permeating and penetrating every morsel and muscle of our beingness, grounding. And slowly and gently, if you haven't already, whenever you feel ready, you can begin to open your eyes, marinating for a moment, bathing in this energy in a field of gratitude, knowing something wonderful has just taken place. And we have all said yes, just by surrendering, by relaxing, by evoking to a greater and grander vision and version of our lives than ever before. And if necessary, if you need a little balancing, a little grounding, you can take opposite hands to opposite knees and just balance yourself, ground yourself as we come back. I just want to welcome you back from our meditation service. Know that we're going to take a few minutes to get ready for our music and our message. We've got a great morning for you. So get comfortable. If you do need to take a restroom break, now would be the time. In a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, we'll be back and we will get our service underway. It's good to see everybody. Welcome back. Namaste. Good morning, Soul Center. It's Reverend Keith, and I'd like to welcome you to our Sunday service. As always, as you are getting settled in for our beautiful day of wonderful music and, I'm going to say, a good message, I get to invite you to get comfortable. I'm going to start with our announcements. We got a few announcements, pretty similar. First, I just want to start with gratitude. We are just truly grateful this whole time that we've been broadcasting and live streaming during COVID. There's still been a lot of work that's been going on behind the scenes, and so we're just really grateful for everybody who's been participating in our community. And just know that we should be coming back in person soon, but we'll keep you posted on when that is. We're still a little ways away so far, so we will keep you posted every week from here. And you can also stay up to date if you go to soulcenteroc.com and you get yourself familiar with our website, which is where you can live stream on. We have a live streaming. You might be on there right now, or you might be on Facebook, or you might be on YouTube, or you might even be on Instagram. Either way, we're live streaming from all of these platforms, but you can find us purely on our website. You'll find any information that's going on. You'll also be able to sign up for our newsletter that we've informed of all the changes, classes, announcements as to when we'll be reconvening to meet back in person. For the time being, we'll be live streaming, as I said. Just grateful for our founders, Jessica and Patricia. We just love you. They are diligently working behind the scenes, and they are holding the vision. Of course, we have our monthly visioning call on the second Monday, so we have every month where we connect into the vision of our community, where we're anchoring in our space that we are claiming. We know it's been a vision that has come through that we've captured. So we continue to be in gratitude for all of the donations and all of the tithing that has been coming in during this time. We really appreciate that. Just know that anytime you can go and you can donate on our website. There's a safe and secure place on our homepage, and you can just hit donate there. We're grateful for all of the support that's been continuing to come in, and we're grateful for those of you who have been given just a little bit extra. It's been making a difference for some of the people who have been, been laid off or furloughed, and we're just holding all of those people in our prayers. We're grateful for that, so you can stay up to date with our newsletter. Sign up for our newsletter. We'll keep you up to date with all of that. A Course in Miracles, of course, is going to continue online for the foreseeable future. And we will be streaming that through Zoom, so you can get all that information on our website Tuesdays, 7 p.m. We've got our daily, Monday through Saturday, morning affirmative prayer. So you can join in via Zoom, you can join in via Facebook Live, where I will be hosting us and taking us in our affirmative prayer every morning, Monday through Saturday. And we're just grateful for everybody who's been supporting our community, those who have supported us in the past, those who are supporting us now. So we're grateful for Tim and David and Florence, and we're grateful for Birgit and Allison and Sharon and Paul and Alex and Mike and Colleen and Emily. We're grateful for Selena and Melinda and everybody else who's been a part of our community. We know that service is a huge part, and we'll be looking forward to engaging even more of that as time goes on. And I believe I've covered all of our announcements, and we are getting ready for our congregation song. So, and we're going to bring Jesse and Rena in.
Good morning, Soul Center. Happy Sunday. Let us just bask in this energy of gratitude. I'm definitely grateful to be here with all of you, safe, healthy. I'm wishing health and safety for all of you, especially in these crazy times. Let us continue to pray for the downtrodden out there. And just remember that we just need to keep lifting each other up and doing our personal part to raise the vibration of our world. You ready?
Ready.
There was a time in my life. I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. And this is a one you gotta see. I release and I let go. Let the spirit from my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the spirit from my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the spirit from my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse Arena. We are so blessed. We are so blessed to have them. We are blessed to have you here. Again, we love you. Words cannot even express how much gratitude we have for them and their gifts and talents that they share so effortlessly with us. So thank you for that. It is now time for our reading and our affirmations. So of course, right now I'm going to invite Jerome, who's going to lead us through this.
Good morning, everyone. Our reading this morning is from Andrew Cohen and entitled Spiritual Self-Confidence. It is important to have self-confidence. It is even more important to have spiritual self-confidence. Spiritual confidence is that unique and palpable sense of absolute conviction that cannot be affected by external or internal fluctuations. It's being absolutely sure. It's knowing before you know that you know. It's the highest gift and blessings that come only from the deepest insight into the true nature of things. It's especially important to have this kind of conviction in times of these when there is so much turbulence and individual and collective insecurity about survival. We can't afford not to have spiritual self-confidence if we want to change the world. The kind of powerful conviction that I am referring to fills one's heart with a love that is not dependent on external circumstances for its fulfillment. It's a love that is unshakable, unmoving, and indestructible. Such love, a love that transcends yet simultaneously embraces the world, is what compels human beings to evolve from their own deepest depths and become better citizens of a world and our cosmos. Knowing the mysterious source of that love is knowing before thought that life is good. That inherent goodness is who we really are, and that's what we discover in deepest revelation. Have confidence in that and change the world. Let us pray with Reverend Keith.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jerome. We really appreciate him being part of this and bringing forward the reading. Just wonderful. So we take a moment. I'm going to invite you to join me as we turn within and really bring our collective consciousness together as we move into the prayer field. So whether you hold your hands in prayer mudra or whether you just relax them, we bring our consciousness, we bring our awareness to the holy altar of God. We take a moment, all of us, in a field of gratitude, knowing that despite anything that is going on in the world of circumstances, that something wonderful is undergirding everything and everyone. So we take a moment and we turn our awareness, our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls, and we become so benevolently vulnerable. We open to the holy light of the omniamorous, all-loving presence of God, and to the presence that is everywhere. That loving presence is everywhere. In the midst of chaos, God is. In the midst of a protest, God is. In the midst of a pandemic, God is. And so we open to that. And it knows nothing. This awareness knows nothing of struggle or strife. And so we open to the omnipotence, the power of light, the power of love. For God is love, God is goodness, God is grace. And there is a divine strength that wavers not, that moves in the world of effect. So we take a moment, each and every one of us, as we align, attune, as we sync and link our beingness to the great remembering of knowing that each and every one of us created from the very essence, the very light, the very love of God, that it is in our bones, our cells, our tissues, it is in our emotions and our minds. We are born in the image and likeness. We are created from the very light and the very heart of the omnipresence and the omnipotence of God. We take a moment and we allow ourselves to return to the beginning. For we know that prayer brings us back to the beginning, and we allow ourselves to be fortified and amplified and magnified in this, that we stand on holy ground, and we remember that the same elegance, the same brilliance, the same intelligence, and the same power and beauty that created every living organism, from the tiniest creatures, from the ants, the butterflies, and the bees, to the hummingbirds, to the whales. We open to the magnificence of the whole presence of God, the holy presence of God, that is just alive in the rock and in the star as it is in our bones and our cells and our minds and in our tissues. We open to that. It is vibrant, it is fresh, and it is alive in us. And so we say yes to a greater and grander experience of freshness and goodness within our own beingness. And it spontaneously and serendipitously, as we embrace it, brings forward a strength of compassion and love and divine right perception. So we say yes to the return home, knowing home is right where we realize the presence of God in our consciousness, in our physical, emotional, and mental bodies. And so I'm grateful to know that as ambassadors and harbingers and messengers of the truth, it is our job. It is our job to bless everything and everyone. So we take a moment and we bless. We bless this day. We bless ourselves with goodness and wholeness, that we may stand on solid, holy ground. Right where we are, God is, good is. And as we fortify in this energy, as we allow ourselves to move into the overflowing, benevolent, abundant, and opulence of this, we bless this service, we bless this day, we bless all peoples, that everybody feels united in the one presence, in the one light of God. We bless all cultures, all colors, all races, religions. We bless all of the countries and cities around the world. We bless it as good and only good, love and only love, for this is the very nature of life. And it is from a place of deep and abiding gratitude, knowing that this good is our destiny, to experience heaven on earth, to ground heaven on earth, right here, right now. And as we speak our word, we must allow it to be so. We must ground heaven on earth, not only for ourselves, but for everything and everyone. We claim it so, we allow it to be so. We agree to it as we release it into the law. allowing it by saying, and so I let it be, and so it is. Amen. And now, as we move from the prayer field, we move into our affirmations. So I'm going to have Jerome come back and lead us through that.
Thank you. Now we'll do our agape affirmation as a call and response. I'll speak a line and then we'll repeat it back together. Today I move from my storyline to my vision sublime.
Today I move from my storyline to my vision sublime.
Excuses go and I glow with the glory of God.
Excuses go and I glow with the glory of God.
Excellence is the starting point for everything I do.
Excellence is the starting point for everything I do.
Friendships, soulships, and right relationships are mine today.
Friendships, soulships, and right relationships are mine today.
My attitude of plenitude is my source and my supply.
My attitude of plenitude is my source and my supply.
In all things I am grateful.
In all things I am grateful.
And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Oh, thank you, Jerome. We are so blessed to have our beautiful Jerome in our community. He's been really chipping in and helping out a lot these days, so we're grateful for you. And we are grateful for Rena and Jesse to come on back with our inspirational song.
This is a song I recently recorded. It's by William John. It's called Be Thankful for What You Got.
Beautiful. Good morning, Soul Center. I'm Reverend Keith, and I just want to welcome you to our Sunday service. And again, just giving more love and more gratitude to Rena and Jesse. They are exquisitely talented, and when I think of them, I just think how blessed we are to have them, because they are truly gifted and truly talented. And like you've heard me say before, we have the best. We have stellar music, we have a stellar crew, we have a stellar community, and that includes you. If you are joining us for the very first time, again, my name is Reverend Keith. I am the minister here at at Soul Center, an affiliate of Agape. We are an Agape, part of the Agape Association of Communities. What does that mean? It means that not only are we participating in the New Thought Ancient Wisdom teachings that come from all the forefathers and foremothers of the New Thought movement, that means we are also participating in Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith and his glory of teachings that he has brought forward in the Agape movement. All of that to say, that means that we follow the golden thread, which are the truth teachings from all of the masters and prophets that have brought forth the same message, that we are all born in the image and likeness of God. God is good, life is good, and how do we plug into that as divine emissaries and ambassadors and make it become our reality of heaven on earth? We do that by following the teachings and practicing them through embodiment, knowing that there is no separation in God, there is nothing against anything in God, that God is only good and love and peace and joy and eternal in every way, shape, and form. And we are to seek and find, unfold, embody, and express that. And so we ask our community to participate in that. We ask you to participate in our prayer time, in our meditation, in our classes, so that you are a participant in the evolutionary unfoldment of your own human experience, so that we can anchor heaven on earth for ourselves and for everyone. So that's part of being an Agape affiliate. Again, welcome. As we continue, we're closing out the month of infinite benevolent possibilities. And even though our themes change from month to month, they continue to go on, because infinite benevolent possibilities is the only thing going on in the life of God. God is a good and bliss beyond our wildest dreams, and although many of us get caught in the minutiae of the illusionary world of fears and worries and doubts, which tend to put a damper on things, we are to rise above that. We are to lift ourselves, pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, and to participate. We got to get into the game. And so today's topic is be still and know that I can. Because we know in Scripture it says, be still and know that I am. And I am is a big, huge part to know that we are born in the image and likeness of God. The I am presence is within us. And within that, we are connected to infinite benevolent possibilities. But oftentimes, we have an energy within us that says we can't. And so we want to be still and know that I can, that we are able, that we've come wired, that we have come preordained to express good. So right now, as we are in the throes of a lot of things that are going on in the world, and remember that we have to put things in completely oblivious to what was going on in another hemisphere on the other side of the globe, because we didn't have technology like we have today. We can know in an instance what's going on in Australia or Africa or Europe or Asia. We can know even in Antarctica or the North Pole. We can know what's going on in a nanosecond. So with that, technology has really increased, and it's allowed us to become more aware. But our own personal full cosmos to rise up to that occasion. So as we're able to look out into the world, one of the things that is going to take us from I can't to I can and I am is how we look at things. So as we're on the heels of moving through a great awakener, every so often we come into a great awakening, which means that there's a global event that really embraces everybody at the same time. Now, even though we know in our spiritual community that's happening all the time, because we're all connected. And if you know the 100th monkey theory, there's an energy that's vibrating over here, and even though there's no linear way that we see the energy traveling over here, where there's these whole slew of islands, and there's a tribe of monkeys on the one island and a tribe of monkeys on this island over here that are miles and miles apart, all of a sudden there's something that they figure out on this, and the energy through the law of osmosis travels over, and everything throughout all history you see where the Egyptians were onto something just at the same time the Mayans were onto something, even though there weren't cell phones or abilities to communicate from a scientific perspective as we know today, but from a spiritual science. There's the energy, and we know that the collective consciousness is always lifting us. So it's wonderful to know that. And as we look out into the world, we want to be aware of what is it that is capturing our consciousness. And now that we can see so much, we can choose to see or not see things, depending on what your consciousness is. But if something, so we take COVID, for example, that comes into our awareness, and we see there's a global up-leveling. There's an auspicious time of global upheaval and up-leveling. And the universe, God, is always going to be pulling us with that divine inertia into our wholeness individually and collectively, and will not settle itself until 100% revelation and realization has been had. You will rise into your 100% realized self that you carry with you everywhere you go anyway, but you will realize it as an experience, because that's why we're here. We're here to have an experience, to experience love, to experience joy, to experience kindness. So you have a global event that is asking us, and so when we think of Scripture, when it says, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth," we are seeking to know the truth that's going to guide us into the liberation. And what am I to know for myself? And what am I to know for the collective? We are to always be in this field of inquiry that can lift us to a greater and grander vision of heaven on earth, and not settling into a status quo of just allowing things to be mediocre. So we know that this time of being home and COVID has been a great awakener, and we want to wake up to it. What do I need to wake up in my life? What is seeking to emerge in my life? And then on the heels of that, we're looking at what's happening in the world right now, very close to home, with our beloved brother, George Floyd. And this is an incident that has happened just way too many times. Way too many times. So we know that we are all one in God. That God doesn't see race or religion. God is no respecters of persons. And we must elevate our consciousness to that. It is unacceptable to see what is going on in the world. And what I mean by that, when we see discord or disharmony or disrespect or irreverence or racism going on in the world, all of those preceding the racism are parts of racism: discord, disrespect, disharmony. These are things that are unacceptable in the mind of God. What are we to do as it enters our consciousness? We are to ask ourselves, what attention am I giving to my awareness? You have an awareness of something, and what is the attention you give to that awareness? So you see something in the news, and sometimes we feel powerless, like there's nothing we can do. Sometimes there's something happening in a corner of the globe that we don't feel particularly connected to, but we are. There's no way to escape it. We're all connected. So we are responsible for our awareness and what we bring. What kind of attention do we bring to our awareness when we see things like this going on in the world? And so we return to the beginning, and we take a moment and we turn within, and we see, there's going to be some way that it's affecting you emotionally. So I become aware of that, and then I become aware of what's happening out in the world, that I may bless these people. And we bless everyone. We bless every single person. And so I'm going to invite you to join me today as we move through this process and find out not only as we bring our awareness, what attention are we bringing to our awareness, but what are you expecting? What are you expecting to happen in the world? What are you expecting to happen in your life? And oftentimes we have this feeling of, I can't do anything. I don't have the strength. I don't have the gifts or the talents. But we do. We're moving to I can consciousness, because every single person on this planet has been gifted with the talents and the consciousness. You can't even exist if you don't have consciousness. You have consciousness, and you access that consciousness, and we want to see, what are we expecting? So one of the things I'd like you to join me with today is what does it look like to expect a world that doesn't have racism, which is part of separation? What does that look like? Am I expecting that this is just going to go on for another 100 years or 150 years or 200 years? No, we do not want to expect that. We want to expect that we are going to rise into something good, and that wholeness and goodness. This means we have to pull ourselves up. Now, sure, I've been talking to some people who are so sad. Myself, I have cried over this. And sure, we have our emotions around it. And it's like, okay, let's cleanse our emotional body so that we can move into divine strength, take control, and by control I mean dominion, over your awareness and your consciousness, and choose to see, how am I observing my consciousness and my awareness, and what am I expecting, so I can choose to expect something new, something good. God is not a consciousness. There is no divine holy consciousness that's worried about the demise of anything. God consciousness knows that we are going to seek and find good and radiate it in every way. That's all God does. There is no anguish, there is no compromise, there is no settling in the divine. There is only radiant goodness. And even as we are fighting in the world amongst cultures and religions and races and things of that nature, there's a tremendous amount of peace and a tremendous amount of cooperation going on. There's a tremendous amount of goodness. And we are to participate in that first and foremost in our consciousness. The ego sometimes wants to figure out, how can we do this? And so the ego wants to come up with plans, and it wants to come up with, sometimes with punishments, and it wants to come up with revenge and things of that nature. Or sometimes it just wants to come up with an action plan. How can we get these people, those people, to understand? And right there, we're starting to travel down the wrong road, because there are no those people. There's we. We are all one. We are all one. We know the butterfly effect is real. We know, and if you could travel, if you could take yourself into the expanded awareness of your beingness, beyond this body, beyond your age, your gender, your race, your religion, any of the labels or titles, and move into the expansiveness and really feel who you are, and feel the dimensions of incarnations of who you've been. You've been the other gender, you've been the other color. I promise you this is true. Been there, but we think somehow from this myopic point of view that in this life, in this body, this is who I am. This is not who you are. You are some grand and great and glorious avatar of the Most High that has power within you that you may access and use through prayer and through meditation, through evocation and through blessing, to place out into the world. So to become aware of the attention on your awareness, and to see, what is it that I'm expecting, and to go, okay, I'm choosing to tap into a place within me to be so fortified and amplified in divine strength. I'm choosing to know what a world looks like without racism, without class divisions, without separation. And the indigenous peoples from around the world, in the Americas, there was an expression of Wetiko. Wetiko is the virus of selfishness. And so in our community, we would call that a virus of separation, thinking that we're separate. We're separate Californians, separate from the rest of the country, or maybe my city is separate from a different city, or my country, or my race, or my religion. There is beauty and there is glory in culture. So this is not about dissolving the glory of our cultures. It's about expanding into the richness of it. It's about expanding into the richness of the colors and all of the beauty that comes from all of the richness of all of the peoples around the world, and then exploiting the good, calling forward the good, stepping into the good, and so that we can bless. We must be mighty spiritual warriors, and a spiritual warrior only uses the bow and arrow of love. We shoot it like Cupid out into the world, and we allow it. But first we must focus on our own beingness. As we were talking about last week I was going over the 6 degrees of separation. First, you become a house united within yourself. Then you become a house united within you in a relationship, a sacred, holy relationship. Then you become united within your family. Then you become united within your tribe. And these spheres of energy, they ripple out. They ripple out. Then you become united in society. And as we become united, we move from the 6 degrees of separation into the 6 degrees of unification. We become one with that holy presence, and a divine strength continues to build. And so none of this is linear. We are going to, whatever comes into our awareness is what we want to become conscious of and see, what am I expecting about any of this? What do I expect about my relationship with my significant other? What am I expecting about my relationship with this group that I'm in? What am I expecting with my family members? Am I expecting a continuation of chaos and discord and disrespect? Or am I expecting something good? And it takes a little bit of moxie to strengthen those muscles, to move behind and let go of the tethers of the past, to let go of the tethers of history and move into the freedom of the mystical, that we may rise into a place where we say yes, and we come from horizontal imagining into vertical imagining, and we ask, show me what it's like to have a sacred relationship with so-and-so. Show me what it's like to have an experience of divine confidence and strength within me. Show me what it's like. I want to know what it looks like for racism to be so healed in benevolent and beautiful ways that we live in a world of reverence and respect. And I'm sure that many of you have gone on trips. You've gone on a trip to another country, and oftentimes, especially if you've ever been led by a guide, you go on to a trip to another country, whether you've gone down to the Mayan temples or the Egyptian pyramids or a place in Africa or Europe. And oftentimes when you're in a culture, people will tell you, well, this is the way they do things, and this is how they are, and this is how you show respect, and then you're like, oh, okay, and you become aware, and it might be different than the way we do it. It might be odd to the way we do it, but we say, oh, okay, let me see. And we embrace the beauty of different cultures. And so we want to use that same way. Now, I know sometimes we have the ugly American who comes bulldozing in and wants to, like, hey, I know you got what you got going on, but I want to do it my way. Now, we're putting aside. That doesn't have reverence or respect in it, and not blaming or shaming or making them wrong or bad, inviting them into the fold of mutual beneficial reverence, kindness, love, and respect. This is what we are holding. So as we've been looking out and we've been seeing the demonstrations that have been taking place, ours is not to judge, ours is not to condemn, no matter where your viewpoints are. And I've heard a lot of people who are like, well, there's this happening with these people, and there's this happening, and it's like, oh my God, and then there's the can't we all get along? And yes, we can all get along, should we choose to expect it, and to not move into can't. We can't have the can't in the only can't you want to have is we can't have can't. We want to move into I can consciousness. I can hold this. I have the talents. I am born in the image and likeness of God. And so we want to cultivate this and to connect with the vision. What is the vision of a sacred, holy relationship? What is the vision? Show me. Show me what it looks like to have peace and harmony. Now we can see it. We see it in sometimes in small doses, where you look around in our agape communities and you just see cultures and colors coming together in such reverence and such respect and such harmony. So we already know it exists, but how do we personally bless that out into the world? We want to become so cognizant and so aware of what our attention is on our awareness, and make sure that we are holding it in a place where we say, yes, speak, Lord, thy servant heareth, that we go into the still place of the Most High, the secret place of the Most High, so that we may be in that stillness, to be still and know that I can, and then only be motivated from there. Because some people get motivated from fear, even with good intentions. Sometimes we get motivated with fear, and so we need to come off of figuring and analyzing of how we think that we can solve this problem from the surface mind, or how we think, because there's a lot of judgment mired in there. With all the good intentions we might have, we want to bring to a place where we be still and know that I am, and be still and know that I can, and what is my role in this right now. And at the very least, my role is to bless everything and everyone, and to tap in to what am I expecting. We're expecting to see a world that's been liberated, true liberation. And we know that one of the very first things is to move into the embodiment phase. The embodiment phase is, so here you are, you're having a day, you're just doing what you do, you've gotten up in the morning, you've had your tea, you've done your meditation, you've done your prayer, you're all revved up in your goodness. And then in your prayer and in your meditation time, you became aware of what wants to expand. What in me wants to expand and increase and hold more good in my life? And so we move into the embodiment phase. And the embodiment phase comes with evocation. We evoke an energy. So if we wanted to evoke freedom, we would evoke the energy of freedom, and we would ask, maybe through inquiry, show me what it's like to be so liberated, to be so free. We invoke those energies. We allow them to start to matriculate in and to our bones and into our body, and to move into the embodiment stage of the evocation. And then from there, we begin to feel the energy bringing us into liberation, and then it goes into the experience. But a lot of times people have it backwards. They think that, oh, if I was just liberated from this job and I didn't have to work and I just had some sort of miraculous income that showed out of nowhere, I just win the lottery, I don't have to work anymore, then I'll be free. Well, no, you won't be free. You're doing it backwards. You might have a temporary, illusionary experience of freedom where like, oh, I don't have to get up and go to work anymore, because you're feeling a little bit of an insincere sense of not having to do the habitual mediocrity that you've been doing. But true freedom comes from God, and we have to invite it, evoke it, allow it into our beingness, and then let it go before us and make the crooked path straight, so that we can experience true freedom, the true embodiment of that. And so we move from step 1, which is the evocation or the embodiment, into step 2, which is the experience. And a lot of people want to have experience define what that is, and that is backwards, and that is lack, and that is an erroneous, inauthentic experience of that good. So what is it like, and what do I need to hold so that we may experience kindness and goodness and freedom and joy? Because everything in your microcosmic world is going to ripple out into the macrocosmic world, and as you experience more authenticity and more freedom and more goodness. And recently I've been, by coincidence, involved with a couple that have brought people who have been wrongly incarcerated or incarcerated under unjust terms into my life. One of them, I actually saw a story, and I invite you to maybe find this on YouTube, but there's a gentleman who was on America's Got Talent, and he is the most glorious angel you've ever seen. And he was erroneously imprisoned for 37 years for a crime he had nothing to do with. He was committed for doing a rape and a murder. And it turns out 37 years later, or 36 years later, they discovered through DNA evidence that it was somebody else who had done it. And he spent 37 years of his life behind bars. And he said the one thing that he did while he was behind bars is he said, even though his body was imprisoned in these cells, he never let his mind be imprisoned. And so that is something that is very profound, and it might even sound really good to say, but most of us are walking around imprisoned in our minds by I can't do this, I can't have that, or maybe I can only have a mediocre version of this or a limited amount of that. And that is not part of the divine plan. The divine plan is that you are to be completely liberated. And when you call something forward, as this gentleman did later in life, it was like, you know what? I want to experience what liberation is. And that energy ripples out into the collective, and then all of a sudden, somebody goes, I have an idea, and this happens to be about a different case that I was aware of. Another man who was incarcerated for a crime that he was punished for that didn't really unfold correctly. And so he, in his incarceration, became aware of education and spiritual depth. And this was primarily more unconscious, because we know that prayer and the mechanism of the law of creation does not take a surface mind consciousness. It's what you sincerely put out into the field. And there was a desire for him to not only heal, but to be liberated. And then all of a sudden, there was a group of individuals who are looking for people who have been unjustly incarcerated. All of a sudden, in their awareness, they become aware of him, and he gets released. And so these are things that happen. And if I'm in I can't consciousness, I'll never have this, I'll never have that, I'll never amount to whatever, then that's what's rippling out, and it keeps us in there. But oftentimes, and this is where mediocrity really becomes a real thorn in our side, mediocrity allows us to be in a place of I can't for things like, well, I'll never have that beautiful soulmate relationship, or, well, I'm never going to have success as this or that or the other, because there's an I can't in there somewhere that we're not even aware of. And you're going to, find some people are going to say, well, I can't because of this and this and this. Well, it's really hard to break into this industry because of this, and it's really hard to get this done and because of this. And if you don't know somebody, it doesn't happen. If you know God, you know the right being to get you into wherever you want to go. If you know how to use the law of creation, anything. In God, all things are possible, should you choose to understand the laws, which means you have to be still and know that I can. You have to back up, and you have to choose to move into a vocation that allows us to embody something and bring it so that we put it in order. The evocation of the energy of freedom, and then the embodiment through liberation, and then the experience. Then we move into the experience. Now, most of us are experiencing things that we have unconsciously brought forward, and we want to start to take conscious dominion over our beingness and choose. What is it like to know that the virus of separation, what does it look like to be dissolved? And of course, as mentioned last week, we want to dissolve the illusions of separation individually. Where am I a house divided within my own beingness? Where am I thwarting myself, and where can I bring myself into wholeness so that I have unity in my own beingness? Where can I experience that unity with my significant other or my BFF? Or where can I experience that in my family? And I will tell you, you will leave no bone and no stone unturned as we move into a greater and grander experience of a oneness in this dimension, which will take you to the glory of the kingdom of heaven right here in this world, and not in just smatterings. God doesn't say, well, you're going to incarnate into human form, and once in a while you're going to have these mystical experiences. Once in a while you're going to experience heaven on earth, just in little blips. No, the idea is to keep increasing and increasing and expanding in our entire beingness, that we may experience heaven on earth as the norm. So we're not going back. We're not creating a new norm of lack and limitation. We're not going back to an old norm of lack and limitation. We are moving into the divine norm of complete freedom and liberation. So I'm going to invite you to join me, and we're just going to go through the process right now. I'm going to invite you to just take a nice, deep, holy breath. And if there's any sadness, if there's any despair, if there's any emotion over what's going on in the world right now, or what's going on maybe in your world right now, we're going to surrender that energy to God. We unburden ourselves as we move into that field. And I'm going to invite you to join me. Join me in a field. We want to know what it's like to live in a world that works for everyone. We want to know what it's like to live in a world where there's no racism. We want to know what that's like. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And we know that it only contains the energy of win-win. It can only contain the energy of mutual magnificence and awe and beauty. So we open into that field and we choose to become aware of our consciousness. We choose to evoke through inquiry what it is we're choosing to experience. And then we allow that energy, that clarity, that wisdom, and that freedom to matriculate into our beingness. And we want to know, what role do we have in this? What is our role in this? And we know first and foremost that our role is to bless everything and everyone and to expect it. To expect it. We must expect world peace if we are going to experience world peace. In our world and in the world. We start at home first, and so we take a moment and we move into a place where we bring our attention to our consciousness. We choose what we are seeking and finding from the very light, the very heart, the very love of God. We invite it, we evoke it, we allow it to enter into our beingness. We breathe it in, and then we let it reveal itself. So this is what we do in our meditation practice. This is what we do in our spiritual reflection. And for those of you who are in the spiritual practices of a way of life class right now, so many of you have just been so thirsty and so hungry for the embodiment of all this, and we've been doing that through reflection, through prayer, becoming aware of our consciousness, and then taking a deliberate, proactive approach so that we can be the solution and the expansion of good on this planet, in our world and in our lives. So we do that. We take a moment and we allow ourselves to dissolve. What is it like to be free from the Watika, the experience of selfishness, and move into selflessness, or spiritual selfishness, which only seeks win-win for everybody? It allows us to be fortified. It allows everybody else to be fortified. We're dissolving the illusion of separation from our brothers and sisters around the world. And we're moving into a place of coherence that is sincere, that is authentic, that is beautiful. And as we hold that in our awareness, as we become aware of what we're conscious of, as we bring deliberate choice to that, we take a moment and we turn within. We turn within once again into the prayer field. We move into a field of gratitude, knowing no matter where we are, no matter what we are doing, we can stop. We just stop. We stop and we say, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth." We turn our awareness, our bodies, our hearts, our minds, our souls to the altar of God, Almighty God, all good. At any moment of any day, and we begin brand new, fresh and new. We return to the beginning, knowing that the beginning is eternality, the beginning is love, the beginning is light, the beginning is God. We return to the beginning, to the omnipresence and the omniamorous nature, the all-loving, in every space and every place, holy light of God. In the furthest reaches of the farthest galaxies, from the other dimensions of time and space, from those that are on the other side of the veil to those that are on this side of the veil, where no matter where we are, God is, love is. So we open to that, each and every one of us, and we remember the truth of our own divine nature, that each and every one of us born of the very light, the very love, the very grace, the very beauty, the very power and strength of God. It is right within us. It is in our bones, it is in our cells, it is in our tissues. Closer to us than our breathing, than our neck vein. we open to the great remembering, and we know that the true nature of our beingness, it exudes and expresses from joy. It exudes and it expresses from bliss. It exudes and it expresses from goodness. And it is connected to an infinite supply of prosperity and joy and serendipity and synchronicity. This is the nature of life. This is the nature of our lives. So we choose to go deeper and rise higher into our true divine nature, to allow the capital C compassion that comes through stillness to reveal itself in our awareness, that we have compassion for the world that is dynamic and it is strong and it is powerful. It never compromises. It never shrinks. It is powerful, it is large, it is dynamic. We anchor in divine strength and compassion, in clarity and optimism and faith. This is who we truly are. The I am and the I can of our beingness rise up, and we remember the truth before we incarnated into human form. We honor and we revere the packages that we came in, these beautiful costumes, and yet we know that we are allowing the law of radiance to shine our soul through our beingness and our bodies, so that our bodies have an accurate reflection of who we truly are into this world as loving beings of light that embrace and love everything and everyone throughout all humanity. We love all races and all religions because we are one with them. The only chosen people are the people who choose the divine, and we choose wholeness, and we choose goodness, and we choose magnificence, and the only righteousness is the now. We claim it and we own it as our own glory, individualized as us, uniquely personified as the glory of God, as our beingness, all needs met, and we let it overflow to bless and caress everything and everyone around the globe, all peoples, all sentient beings, all creatures, all the beloved animals on the land, the ones in the sky, the ones in the oceans, the one in the soil. We honor. We allow ourselves to be completely liberated as we embody and then experience the good and the glory of the kingdom of heaven. And so I'm grateful to once again know that we must be divinely receptive, that we must anchor and ground heaven on earth, goodness on earth, love on earth, and that we anchor a holy perception, and that each and every one of us is saying yes to being only motivated by inspiration and enthusiasm. We claim it so. We allow it to be so. We anchor heaven on earth, goodness on earth, prosperity on earth, love on earth, right here, right now. And from a place of deep and abiding thanksgiving and reverential appreciation, knowing it is God's good pleasure to bring forward the kingdom of heaven specifically for you, specifically for our brothers and sisters around the world. We claim it. We choose to seek it, see it, find it everywhere we go. We choose to know what we are expecting. We are expecting good for everyone. Right here, right now. We ground it, we claim it, we let it be by saying, and so it is. And so I let it be. Amen. 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 Aho. Ashe. Shalom. Mahalo. Hotep. And hallelujah. And just breathing that in, marinating in it for a moment, marinating in the expansion as your soul moves ever more profoundly into your body, temple, and of affairs. We let it ripple out before us, truly grateful. And as we have moved through a process of holy expansion, we take a moment. I just invite you, as we get ready to prepare for our time of tithing, our offering, and know that as we participate in the law of circulation, as we participate in the law of tithing, the highest vibration of generosity, where we are including, not only in the circulation, an awareness of the divine that is always seeking to lavish us, So as we circulate our offering out into the world, we know it comes back to us minimally, a tenfold, 100-fold. We let it return. We can't outgive God. So I'm grateful for all of you who are taking a moment to go to our website, soulcenteroc.com, where you can click on a safe and secure donate button, where you can donate your offering. You can also sign up there if you want to do it on a regular monthly basis, where you can do auto tithe, where we would be grateful for that. It looks good on our records to have a steady income. We appreciate that. You can also go and text to donate. You can text GIVE. You got to text in the word GIVE and dial the number 669-342-2157. Again, you can text your donation via the area code 669-342-2157, texting the word GIVE. It's safe and secure. And you can also go to our website if you want to use and do the old-fashioned way of writing out a check. We love those too. No fees involved with that, so we appreciate that. Sending in checks, you can find our address on our website, soulcenteroc.com. All of those different ways that you can tithe, we really appreciate it. And again, truly grateful for all of you who have helped and kind of been giving a little extra for those who may have been able to, who haven't been able to give as much. So we appreciate you picking up the slack, and we are just grateful for you. And we know that our community is continuing to thrive. That money is going towards our new space. That money is going towards our overhead, our programs, our classes, etc. And we say yes to thriving individually and collectively for our community and for all spiritual centers and all communities and all cultures around the world. Grateful for this. And with that, we're going to go ahead and bring Rena and Jesse back for our next inspirational closing song. Well, actually, just our inspirational song. We'll do our closing after that.
Good morning once again, Soul Center. This is a very special song that a friend of mine from across the country sent me as a channeled message for me, for all of us out here doing our spiritual work, just to remind us how extraordinary we are, no matter what we do, no matter what we say. We come from a divine place, and being love and receiving love is our divine birthright. So if you don't mind me reading these lyrics, it's quite a big song. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's called Extraordinary Being. You are what God imagined. You are a true perfection. Baby, you're made of stars. Don't let nobody tell you different. You are a light of soul mixed with a light of magic. Like how the sky turns gold every time you're dancing. You deserve all the love. Why don't you let it in? Don't punish who you are for the ones you have been. You got a heart of fire. You hide it, just let it flow. You gotta go, you gotta know that you're an extraordinary being. Yes, you're an extraordinary being. See your anatomy, it's made of little kind. Gold is your history. You're standing upon the shores. See your China, getting too high for cowards. Look how you're flying now. Check out your superpowers. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve all the laughter. You are one of a kind. You deserve happy ever after. Oh, how the tides are changing. Feel how your heart is blazing. You gotta breathe, you gotta see, you gotta believe that you're an extraordinary. Yes, you're an extraordinary being. Yes, you're an extraordinary. Yes, you're an extraordinary being. 'cause you're extraordinary. You are, 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 extraordinary. No matter what you do, extraordinary. No matter what they say, extraordinary. No matter what you say, extraordinary. No matter what they say. Thank you.
Oh, wow. That was extraordinary deliciousness. And again, I just can't express how grateful I am for the talent, for the beauty, because not only are they talented and they're gifted and make it look so easy, but they are beautiful inside and out. I love Jessie, I love Marina. And as soon as we can, we're going to hug so much. So, we're here for our time to bless the offering, and so I'm just grateful for all of you who have been soulcenteroc.com to hit that donate button, or to text to donate, or to mail in by getting our address on our website. All of those ways we're grateful for. We take a moment and we're going to extend our prayers, our blessings, our heart through our hands. I can just see you all out there as though we were in our community right now. And we take a moment and we give thanks. We give thanks for all the love and all the beauty, for something wonderful that has taken place here today, something wonderful that is taking place as we all just participate in the art of circulation and the beauty of tithing and the benevolent, abundant supply of all good in every way, shape, and form. We're just truly grateful for everyone as we continue to experience more prosperity, more success, individually and collectively, benevolently and beautifully, that we live inspired, beautiful, holy lives. We let it be so, and so it is. Amen. Thank you again. We're getting ready to do our peace song as we close out our service for today. So for those of you who are at home and maybe the kids are off in the other room, invite them in, get your significant other, your children, whomever else, as we get ready to do our peace song. I'm going to invite Jessie and Rena back to help close us out.
Thank you again, Soul Center. Thank you, Reverend Keith. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Jessica and Patricia, for having us. We're so let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we.
letting peace and love and wellness and goodness begin with me and bless everything and everyone around the globe, around the world, right here, right now. We claim it, we ground it, we own it, we let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Soul Center. We are so grateful for you. We love you. We will